All right, we're going to continue here. Manipulating the tone, register, moving into upper and lower register happens after 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That one does. And technical efficiency, of course, is what you're doing in your warm-up that's teaching that technical efficiency. Does it have to be a whole book? No. No, it doesn't. You can teach one simple exercise. It could be as simple as like sol la ti do. You could be that. Sol la ti do ti la sol. Or you could go sol la ti do la sol. Or you could make it do. Do re mi fa. Do re mi fa sol fa mi re do. And with that, I can go do re mi fa sol fa mi re do. Or I can bounce it, or whatever I want to do. I can articulate it. I could double tongue it. And then I could look at a kid and say, now play it in the key of flat D. Now play it in the key of C. Now play it in the key of flat E. Some of you might be wondering why I'm saying flat first. I've always said the flat first. It really upsets me to see a student bring in and write music and he puts the flat after the note when he's writing his music for the first time. I believe it's because of poor training. George said something, we were talking in the break, and I love this. And it was a little thing. He's going to be like, it's no big deal. It's the deal. We were talking about an idea of teaching, of something we wanted to teach, and then he said, I just want to make sure it's all necessary. Is this really necessary? Or will other things teach it already that I'm doing? Or do I need to spend time on it? Because I'm going to lose time. And so I hope you understand what I'm saying with this. You just got to keep things as simple as you can, but take them to the highest possible level. All right. And then judgment, number 9. What that means is now the student is playing the piece and he knows who the composer is. He knows what country of origin it's from. You've read a story about what the music meant, or you read the front of the cover and it talks about the resistance that was happening that time in Germany, and you can feel it in the music. And so now the student moves to the highest level of judgment. Now, what I'm going to do now is take these and just generalize production in tone. So I'm doing all that. Tone production, intonation, support, start, sustain, release, holding still. And we're just going to say, how do we do it? To use the correct embouchure, proper breath support, and the skill of articulation are the most basic fundamentals. They need to concentrate each of these points simultaneously is not always observed. So what happens here is you'll see under production there's 6 items, and they don't do all of them at exactly the same time. When's the slowest time you're ever going to move? A beginner. How does a beginner, I've heard this so much, if I don't move fast enough, they just drop out. I have to move fast, otherwise I lose their interest. How do they know what fast is? I mean, if they're not satisfied with your speed, you must have said something. Because, man, you just released that whole note, you're a year advanced. Jose, that was incredible. He's just playing a whole note. He knows what you tell him. Man, the way you lifted that horn and you set that to your embouchure so carefully, looking in the mirror, I think you just advanced probably 3 or 4 months. So I would go slow in the beginning. But you have to have everything at the same time. So that's why I'm telling you with beginners, I taught support right away. 6th grade singing. Mike brought to my attention that I did use solfege. He said that I used solfege in the junior high. He said that I made him stand up and sing. All right. So by not doing all of them at the same time, this results in weak tone production. Hold still must be repeated many times by the teacher before it becomes a habit for the student. The thought process of how to start, sustain, and release a tone must be done many times in order to develop the correct habit. A good tone production system will always ensure an excellent tone with good intonation. So that goes with what Gasper said. When you're working on your sound and you're finding that resonant pitch of the instrument where it wants to play, yes, it's going to make your intonation better. What level of intonation are you at then? Are you at equal tempered, just, or Pythagorean? When that instrument is zeroed in and playing at best zeroed in pitch, your band is equally tempered. You moved your little tuning slide and you got it as close as you could. It's not in tune. It's just close. All right. Measuring the tone, counting time with a feeling of good rhythm. This is a building habits from the first aid to the summer band. Students can learn about foot tap skill, counting values before they have an instrument. You can use clap and count techniques of your choice to use visual judgment and audible counting judgment. If you clap and count, why is it good for the teacher? Because you can visually see it like a tuner. I can see if they're engaged. When I'm right now today, I can see if you're sleeping. I can see if your arms are folding your board. You know, that's the ones where I told you I go home, 50% of the adults didn't get anything I was really teaching them. They're just shut down because they're that good. You can start with chair tryouts in about 1 week. Do a lot of chair tryouts. Make sure you judge skills that will move players around a lot. Get something the last chair student does well and move him or her to first chair. If you see a student working hard but having a difficult time with embouchure, I don't know what shear is. I made a mistake. And you can see them, I think, starting to feel bad. Have a tryout on what they do well and move them up. Measuring the tone also requires a routine of musical expression and register. I did put him in. These rules for beginners only, so they have rules they follow when reading music. They will use these until mastered. Then you can start to break the rules as you move into judgment. So I did put it down, 1 through 5. I'm not going to read that. C, manipulating the tone. This requires breath support, embouchure strength, and fingerings, as well as alternate fingerings for expanded register. Playing intervals in various registers with various articulation, rhythmic figures, and dynamic levels. This needs to be done many times to develop correct habits and technical proficiency. So, the blah, 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 I'm thinking like blah, 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 blah. Honestly. I love what that said. But again, you have to want perfect. That's the bottom line. If you don't have perfect, don't go on. You're not going to lose them. They're going to lose interest in your program if you fail. Judgment. Intelligent judgment is grounded in the knowledge of various musical styles involving the composer, the history, the chord structure. Am I on the 3rd? Am I on the 5th? Am I the root? Do I have the melodic line? Or am I harmonic? I'm harmonic. The melodic line is in what's called the Pythagorean scale. Well, if that student doesn't learn to play a little sharp, they're not going to be able to play in the Pythagorean scale. That's what happens when a student that's been playing chords, on a harmonic part, plays a solo for the first time, and you notice it always sounds a little flat. That's why, because he's supposed to raise it, and that's Pythagorean. Where was I at? Yeah, but what was on? This usually comes last in the learning process, and all skills must be developed and studied before intelligent. Did I finish this? No. Okay. Intelligent interpretation becomes fluent. The teacher must consistently check for and encourage his students to use the correct embouchure, utilize proper breath support, holding still while playing. The failure of a teacher to observe incorrect practices will result in a weak tone production system and subsequently weakness in the remaining 8 teaching points. Number 5, start with a whole note leading air to the next downbeat of 1. This is important to support the change. The reason I put this in here, and I had a young man come up and talk to me about releasing and how long a whole note lasts. I like whole notes, but I've never liked, I'm a tuba player, I've never liked sustain all the time for 16, 20 counts and just hold it. Unless the purpose was to teach a faded, lifted vowel release to a delicate light entrance to fade back in to blend. The reason is because when we go to the end of our air system, what happens? We get tight and tense. It fosters all the wrong skill sets here, and you can't produce a great sound. So sometimes when people play a whole note, I noticed in my years of teaching that even the whole note would go stuffy quickly. They'd be like oh, and so I went to 4 quarter notes on the whole note. So promoting airflow, I'm working articulation, I'm working fluidity, and so this is just saying 4 count. From count 4 to count 1. Well, the problem with 4 to 1 is what happens. We always get a gap, don't we? Right? It is a break. Like if you're playing the flat B concert scale and you go from flat B to C, well, you're going through lots more, many more feet of tubing. And there's also added resistance. So in order to fix that, I would actually blow a little more wind at the end of 4, leading into 1. So it's just a technique to help stop the bumps in the middle of 4 to 1. Then you move moving quarter notes to a longer sustained note to get fluid airflow. This will allow you to warm up instruments, chops, before you adjust the metal or wood of the instrument. Now, let's talk about that. Adjusting the metal or wood. Tuning is still expected in this stage. So in the stage we just did, I said we're warming up, and we all know that instrument that's cold is playing flat, right? But I still expect it to be in tune. So at that point, I'm expecting that older player to raise his pitch and blend and make it sound good. But then after everything's warm, then I need to do something to get them close. Now I'm going to teach you something I've used, and I didn't use this here. I used a form of it, but I developed it a lot more the older I got. And I call it tuning the flavor of the note, of the instrument. I'll say that again. Learn to tune the flavor of the instrument. Here's what I mean. When I hear someone play, I've been working on my ear, and I'll listen to them, and I'm like, 6 of those notes are sharp, and 2 are okay. Pull out a half a dime, and then I'll have them play again. And now 4 of them are good, 4 of them are still sharp. What's the flavor? Still a little high. I might want to get one a little flat. Do a compromise, and he's got a lift. And so that's called tuning the flavor. Well, how can you tune the flavor on one note? Okay, everybody, flat B. Okay, Jerry. Ha, 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 ha. Okay, push in. Ha. Okay, pull out. Ha. Okay, hear you again. Ha. Then, on sax we tune G or whatever. I'm just saying, stop tuning one note. I think it's the worst thing you could possibly do. La da dee dee dee. You hear that again? La da 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 dee da 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 da. La da 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 dee da 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 da. Sharp. So I like to tune the flavor of the equipment and get things equal what? Tempered. I did a really good job at equally tempered tuning the French horn. The reason why did I say that? Because that's the most ambiguity for a brass player. You know, how do you tune the F side? How do you tune the flat B side? And so I equal temper both sides. You know, and equal temperament gets me close, but then the magic happens. Now I bend. And you practice bending in band every day. 1 minute. That's all it takes. What I'll usually do as a demonstration for kids is sometimes like I'll pick up a trumpet and I'll have a kid play like an E natural, and I'll finger an F and play an E natural. And I mean just peg it. And then bam. Because I'm trying to teach them that the metal's nothing. This is just an instrument, but this is everything. And so you start doing some pitch manipulation after you tune the flavor. So tuning is still expected, but you can adjust the instrument as the wood and the metal warm up, thus making fine embouchure manipulation easier. A cold instrument will play flat, so when you're tuning the band, make sure the students are blowing warm air through the entire instrument. That means woodwind should have all holes closed to the bell. Brass should have all valves open, pressed, so air goes through each valve set of tubing to keep it warm. Now, this is great. What's nice about my sheet, you know, I don't even know what's in here. I already covered it. But the point I'm saying is, this paper, you might have this paper and say, yeah, I'm going to throw it away and go. But when HE taught me the 8 teaching points, I didn't know how important it was, but I kept it. And if you go back and read this, there's a lot of good things here for you to learn. Never tune just one pitch of the instrument. You should get the general characteristic pitch of the horn. Tune the metal or wood first, then manipulate the tone with your embouchure using your ear, alternate fingerings, triggers, saddles, etc. Check several pitches diatonically on the instrument. Select one student as your main pitch of your band. I like to use clarinet as my tuning source. And then I tune the entire band to the clarinet. So I don't use a tuner. I might use a tuner for the clarinet. The first clarinet pitch. After that, I'm done. Where was I at here? Tempered tuning. After you have adjusted the instrument to the best equal tempered tuning, position all fine tuning is accomplished through pitch manipulation. So that's what I read. I'm on 9. All right. 9 is getting into, like I had one guy not do this and I'm firing him next week. What happened was he came in to summer band. It's his second year. The assistant is Frankie Rodriguez. It's second year. And he came in, and on Monday, not one of his kids played. He sat there and ran copies during the first day of summer band. He didn't have any material to hand out. I was shocked. So he doesn't know it yet, but I'm seriously moving the assistant up. And I want to move him down. But look, watch this. Band's daily warm-up in a packet. Required scales, packet. Technical studies specific to the instrument. I would always include some studies in the packet. Like when I gave out my trombone book to Ryan, there would be some little Clark studies in there. Star Spangled Banner, everybody needs to know that. School fight song, alma mater. Then if you're in high school, marching show music in the packet. And H, basic required stand tunes. You got your standards. You put that in the packet. The kid's got all the music he needs. Nobody should be copying all this when the kids arrive. They should be copying that in the day or two prior, so the packets just go out. Middle schools. You guys here have your band night where you go with your high school band and you play your tunes. Well, if you play maybe a real easy version of something, da da dee dee da, da da dee dee da, and so even the junior high should be handing out that real easy, fun tune. And so in your packet, that kid's got something I got to work on, because some of them are going to do it. Some are going to need you to tell them. And then this one, the All Valley Band music. Well, we all know it comes out, TBA. Kids coming back. We got kids coming there. We pick up the books or whatever you're missing at TBA. Bam, you go back, you're copying. Then you're double checking to make sure you gave them the right one. In my 37 years, I've never sent a kid ever that when he got there was playing the wrong music, ever. I did catch myself, honestly, with, I think it was a baritone, and I this is embarrassing, but it may have been like a month or two, maybe 2 or 3 weeks before. Well, that's the only time I was that close. Might have been Andrew. Do you know, was it Andrew? No? You don't know. But he was so good, I gave it to him, and he's like, oh, this is fun. All right. He was bored of playing the same one. Expect your students to attend summer band. Wow. It was an elective, for crying out loud, and you signed up for it, you little meathead. Expect them to come. Why? Start calling anyone that does not show up. Tell them the urgency, because you're starting the show on August 1. Of course, that's the high school band director. If it's junior high, you're doing chair tryouts. You're going to miss it. You're going to be last. Get other students or parents to pick up students. Brainstorm with the kids. Hey, how can we help him get here? Talk to the kids about it. Make them part of the program by giving them, getting ideas from them. Say, man, that's great. Do not allow them to make an excuse. You're not doing them any favors by allowing them to make an excuse. Listen to this, right? Their boss won't do it. He's not going to allow it. So expect the same from the kids for their sake. So I actually, I've seen it all. I've seen guys that think it's really sad that they're taking their time away from their personal life. Do you know how bad the personal life is right now? I mean, it's bad. These kids, like when I was in the high school, and we didn't have a mustard packet. You just had a bowl. Everybody got out of the bowl with a spoon. Well, I had mustard like that, went to put it on, and the whole spoon dropped all over my shirt. Nowadays, that'd be all over the internet. The whole school would be laughing at me. I only had like 3 or 4 kids see the mustard all over. I'm like trying to look cool, walking away, go to the bathroom, rinse my shirt out. Now these little guys, they drop their tray in the lunchroom. It's on the internet. They're saying things, and I discouraged social media when I was here. I think it's really bad. I think when kids don't have anything to do, they get in trouble. I feel like what I had them do gave them a purpose, gave them a goal, gave them an objective. I think I kept them out of trouble. I don't think they're doing me a favor. I think I'm doing them a favor. So what happened? You can see from my nature, the way I'm speaking to you. You better come, bud. You better be here. And it doesn't matter. Some of us, this one guy, I'll say this. I think I can define it. He feels like he's taken them away from their family at home and being at home and all that. And the truth is, he doesn't want to be there anyway. And the reason he feels that way is because that's how he feels. If you really want to know the absolute truth. So if you've ever heard that band director doesn't want to do what he's doing. Make sure you have summer attendance sheets with all the sections' phone numbers. For this is a high school. In a junior high, you're going to have to use your judgment if you're going to let a leader help you call students. In the junior high, a lot, I'd have another kid call them, but you're going to see here what I do. Make sure you have a summer attendance sheet, and then only the band captain, lieutenant, squad leader can use their phone number on the attendance sheet to call the student. Now, I like to do, instead of dropping one bomb to hit something, I like dropping like 10. So what I'll do is have the band captain call the kid, have the lieutenant call the kid, call the squad leader call the kid, have a band director call the kid, have his friends call the kid, and then the last guy that calls, when it's like, man, it's my way or the highway, that's when Mr. Dunn calls. So I save myself for the absolute very end, and I let my staff call. And this is funny, but last week I sent out a memo to all my high schools, and I said, look, I told them, I said, I want a list of every kid that hasn't come. And I am going to call them myself. Because I thought, you know what, if the supervisor of music's calling that kid to show up, I'll bet he's going to kind of get a real tight feeling like, hey, he better go. And so what I'm telling you, and also my staff knows I'm looking. I want to know your numbers. How many you have showing up? So in that case, I made myself the last line of, because I've only been the head guy doing this for 2 years. So, I'm just getting the people in place, and we're starting to see the result. All right. Leaders are the first line of callers. Friends are second line callers. Squad leaders third line callers. Band directors last line callers. Save the head director for last. Number 12. After you've set the instruments to the best equal temper tuning position, now you can start to tune your first full band warm-up note. Okay, listen to all parts of the note. The beginning, the middle, end. So again, I'm going right back to the beginning 8 teaching points. This is a very important skill and can only be accomplished if you have done a good job teaching how to form the correct embouchure for each instrument. If the embouchures are not fundamentally correct, you will have different pitch problems, and various registers and consistent pitch tendencies will be difficult to obtain. So this is, again, going back to producing that really good sound does help you have better intonation. But, again, I'm going to say this again because we talked about it. It will only be equal tempered. It won't be in tune. It'll just be super close. During the start of the rehearsal, start focusing on intonation, balance, and blend. You'll need to get the students to listen for waves in the pitch. So what I thought I'd talk about, I'll just do this right now, is how do I get them to hear it? Here's some ideas. Listen to this very closely. How do you get kids to hear what they're actually producing? Because there's a disconnect. Playing to the part of the vocal, we talked about that. Then there's a disconnect of hearing me and hearing them, or hearing me and hearing one other person. Then there's a disconnect of me hearing what? Everybody. So how do we get them to first do that? Here's some ideas that might help. You can have them play their note, first sing and pull it real close. So I was talking to George about this. I better say it again to everybody. Play a whole note with your voice. So, vocal play, release on 4, play. So if I want, I'm going to go, watch. So, that is exactly a beautiful example of how'd the meat do that? How did it do? I don't know. But it wasn't a scoop. How many understand what I'm talking about with that? Because somehow I tapped into that little part of the brain that's vocalizing. And so the buzz came out right. And so that's one thing. The next one you can do is bend pitch and come back up. So, hang on. Too dry. And have them do that with another player playing and then slide back up to here. So you're making the problem severe and bending back up. You can try to bend up, which is harder. It's harder for everybody. Bending down first is the easiest way to help you teach them to tune. Here's another idea. Drop out. He's like, he's ear dead. Okay, Tommy, drop out. Listen. Okay, sing it with me on ah. Oh. Okay, ready? Now play and see if you can blend. Okay, so that's another idea. What's another one? Make your ear bigger. Bend it around. Everybody, you put it there and it's just an amplifier. How many have done that with their kids? Okay, everybody do this. I would tell the kids we're making like our own elephant ear. Okay, make your ear big. Just take that round, cup it. Now turn it around like a telephone, and now talk. Say hi. Hi. So what happens is it helps the student direct their ear to the sound they're producing. Okay? And what else? This sounds stupid, but maybe plug your ear. I hate that one. But I have kids that are like, oh, they hear it. So many different ways. But I'm going to tell you this, man. Pitch bend, pitch bend, pitch bend. All the time. Every day. How long? 2 minutes. That's the other thing. I sent you a warm-up. Mick will know this when he sees it. I barely play anything in a warm-up. True or false? It's pretty darn basic. And that one that I made, and this is funny. How many have seen the Don Hanna warm-ups? All right. Don was my absolute buddy. Don, one day I'm talking to Don about his Don Hanna warm-ups. And I says, Don, I got to tell you the God's honest truth, man. I love your warm-ups, but I don't play much more than half the first page. And he absolutely busted out laughing. And he said, neither did I. He said, I just wrote that to get it published, and I wanted to have more than enough and not make people think they should only play 3 lines. But because the skill you're learning in the Don Hannah warm-up, you learn on the first line. And then it's repetitive all the end in the same key. So what I'm saying is, again, keep things simple. Like, you know how much you can cram into a good warm-up if it's only 1 minute? Well, that's 15 ideas if you do a 15-minute warm-up. 20-minute warm-up. What if you vocal played 1 minute every day? Are you going to feel that? I don't think so. I think you could fit 1 minute, 60 seconds, put a timer on, and just start practicing it. So it should be the same routine daily. This will teach students habits of doing things over and over and over and over. How many have noticed that in the paper I'm doing today, I've said and taught the same thing 3 or 4 times already? This wasn't a mistake. I'm hoping to get another guy to hear what I'm saying. And you, if you notice, they're said a little differently and brought in a different sentence or phrase, but I'm saying the same thing. Too many directors are worried about that the students will get bored, so they move too fast and never teach the persistence required to perform at a high level of proficiency. I love this, man. My kids, look at them, respect the warm-up. I've even said, if respect the warm-up didn't get that little perk look like it's the Pledge of Allegiance, I would say approach your warm-up with reverence. Respect your warm-up. Don't insult me. And that warm-up, that instead of, all right, get out, Remington. Hi. 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 All right, what is that? That's a half step. I'm getting detailed. The second one's a whole step. You following me? Now when I play, let's say do to T, I'm using relative pitch. I'm hearing and tuning and adjusting. So a lot of people say, Stacey hates Remington. I love Remington. Do you know what? If you can go from an F to a flat D and play in tune, I love you. But if I hear it played one more darn time, that stupid quacky dacky suck-a-ducky thing I hear at marching contests, I'm going to go throw up on them. So, again, I love it, but make sure that you are persistent at a high level of proficiency, and students respect the warm-up. A warm-up is not like stretching. I'm just stretching to get ready to run. No, the warm-up is the most detailed part of my day. And done properly, I'm like a fine-oiled machine. Done poorly, bad result. End your rehearsal with something fun or new. This will give the students something to look forward to each day. Make sure you're always positive and you encourage the students. I didn't always do that. I wanted to, but then I'd have weekends where I didn't, and my whole weekend was ruined. It is really good to try to do that, but I told you earlier, Fridays is my trying to be a fun day. I want them to come back to band Monday. Number 1, warm-up material designed to get your face, your hands, air prepared for upcoming playing and development demands. Now, here I'm just going to give you some examples. I already said this, 4 quarter notes to a half note scale, lead, do, to, re technique. Teach legato articulation first and airflow. Each quarter note should lead to the next quarter note. So I used to call it directional leading or directional crescendo, not a crescendo, but very small amounts. You can use numbers, guys. 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5. As I got older and older and older and better at my dynamics, I got into microdynamics. That's what I call it, micro. So when I'm little in junior high, I'm 1 to 10. When I'm advanced, getting more advanced, I'm 1 to 20. When I'm getting really advanced, I could be 1 to 60 or 1 to 80. 1, 1.25, 1.5, 1 3/4, 2. So, 1.25, 1.5, 1 3/4, and 2. So you're working on that skill on a daily basis. How long? 1 minute. Okay. Legato articulation, airflow, got that. You could utilize the volume number system so they clearly know how strong you want them to play. Make sure you lead count 4 to count 1. You want to build in a habit of 4 leads to 1. So if you're doing a whole note, you do this. Do, re. So you want to push right into that. And you can talk about your support and leading 4 to 1. Pop your fingers. Make the tone stay the same. Get your tone right, but then when you go through the extra 45 feet on a tuba to 4th valve, that's what those little tuba guys are dealing with. You take that 4th valve and stretch it out, that thing is long. And they're going, oh, oh. That's why. So you do need a little push to get through it.
Stacey,
Yeah.
I should have asked this earlier, but do you ever implement any, I know you didn't hear as much, but you did a lot of what you're talking about. But when you went to Fort Worth, I know a lot of people use Eddie Green method in terms of like fundamentals. Did you ever implement breathing exercises?
Yeah, you're talking about.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about with Brian.
Yeah.
When I brought him up earlier.
Yeah.
But did you ever implement that to an extent?
No.
No. Okay.
I mean, I never did this, okay? Because to me, maybe it's because I'm fat, but I'm not relaxed. So it just didn't. And I'm a tuba player.
Or just any intake that you developed.
Oh yeah, I did. Yes, I would do. Like take in as much as you can, hold it. Now take in more, and I did that here.
Yeah.
And I would just keep stacking and relaxing. Relax. Okay,
but
now.
Is it part of your warm-up routine?
Absolutely.
Daily?
Every day.
Yeah.
Every day. I didn't support without a breath training. Just never. But I never did this in, this out. That is very prevalent in what he did. Make sure the half note is released precisely on count 3. I think we all understand that a half note is 3 counts. Okay? It's 3 counts. Let me define it. 3 counts and 2 beats. Let's call it a beat. Okay? So 1 goes to 2. I'm going to call the beat the arch from 1 to 2. And then 2 goes to 3. 2 beats. 3 counts. All right. And again, if you teach that in 6th grade, it's just like bam. You don't have any of that junk. Like he come up and asked me, he said, do you release on 4? It's not even in the vocabulary anymore. By the time they're in 7th grade, they know a whole note goes all the way to 1, and you're done. Okay. After this, unison notes and whole notes that work eighth counts and 12 counts, adding crescendo to decrescendo. So 8 counts. This is, like you said, do you do this? Do you do breathing? I do crescendo. It says right here, 8 counts, 12 counts. So 4 up, 4 down. 6 up, 6 down. 8 up, 8 down. And also, when you're teaching dynamics, the first way to do it, honestly, is articulated. It's just better. Than just going, just say, look, on the first count, articulate a quarter note, volume 1. Second count, volume 2. Third count, volume 3. Fourth count, volume 4. Do, 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 do. All right, let's do that again. Okay, now take out the articulation and just play it. Do. There's 15 seconds. Okay.
As far as volumes, do you go, pianissimo to fortissimo, or, do you teach piano to mezzo piano this time?
You mean, do I say those words, piano, or do I teach?
Yes. What range would you teach at
Okay.
school, for example?
I mean, I would go all the way up to a 10. In high school, a 10, you're like trying to peel paint, but with a tone. Control. And, I mean, I could go right now, pick up a tube, and play a low B flat and really nail the crap out of it. And you'll just be like, yeah. And then a little kid does it, and you're like, ah! And so this exercise will help teach all of that. Go all the way up to a 10, and learn to support, relax. George and I were talking about this, but there can be absolutely no tension. The air comes from the EF, which is the very bottom warm air from here. Okay, blowing that. Do you ever use some fast air or cold air? Sure you do, with your tongue. You raise or lower your tongue, to change the register of an instrument. So if I want to play high on the trumpet, I would go E. So if you heard that just now, I was going like E, ah, E, ah, E. Watch again. My support, this isn't changing. I just went from an F on a tuba to the fourth ledger line F. Listen again. That's using E, A, O. So, anyway, I think I got a little off there, but pretty cool. Demand perfection. I bold that. That's the whole thing. And make sure they're focused from the first note. Do not allow them to zone out or take a boring, mundane approach to long notes. After I get the air moving, I like to do some basic lip slurs. Start on a flat B and slur down to an F. Concert 3 times and half notes, then produce downward chromatically. So all I'm doing here, this is where I'm using like E, A, E, A, E, A, E. And I'm also using light note high, heavy note bottom. So E, A, E, A, E, A. Now I'm talking brass. Elapsed time for everything I just talked about, 5 to 10 minutes. Instruction should be precise. Students should be told what they're working on and try to improve. Number 15, articulation practice designed to develop tonguing and fingering facility and coordination. 8th note scales. I can teach one scale in an 8th note pattern like you do in All Valley and just tell them that all the scales are the same rhythm. You can slur it and tongue it, All Valley. I like to start on F concert and slur up to a C. I learned that from Mick. On a trumpet, when you go from flat B concert to C, there's a real definite controlled bump. How many trumpet players are there here? Right? When you break the harmonic series and you go from flat B to C, there's a real skill set and a huge change inside the center of your mouth where the tongue moves. And so my favorite one is F to C slurred. And I like to go like do, do, dee, do, ee, o, do, 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 dee, do. 3 times. Then I'll go slurred, oh, maybe piano, or maybe mezzo forte. And then I'll have them bounce it. Do, 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 do. Then I'll have them really bounce it. Do, 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 do. Then I'll speed it up. Do, 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 do. See how it wasn't very much, was it? I'm just gradual, man. And then by the time they're in high school in the Wind Symphony, it's like still starts, respect the warm up. I'm going to take them back to some slow. Do, 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 do. But then I might end up going la da 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 dee da da dee da 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 dee da da dee da 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 dee da da dee da. We're doing some double tonguing on it. And if you want to if you're the guy that likes to go through a book, well then just look at the kid and say, now go home, hey Jerry, play that in all scales, in all keys. Thanks, man. See ya. And you send him on his way. And he's got a huge technical exercise, fingering dexterity. And then also I want you to know, I didn't write it in the warm-up. In the warm-up, I only do 5 notes. If you look at the warm-up you're sent, it's a 5-note thing. But in a private lesson, I'll teach them the 6th, the 7th, to the octave. So, la da 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 da, ya da 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 da, la da 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 da. I like to do the minor in that thing. All right.
Stacey, I have a question for
Yeah.
you. Going back a little bit, you're talking about airflow.
Yeah.
In relationship to note production. Do you change your means of production being a tuba player to teaching young kids who are starting on tuba that don't have air support?
Do I teach them support?
Or do you teach them differently, like you're going to play a note for like a whole note, but they can't make it all the way through? How do you get them to make the...
Great. See, I mean, and I want to do a lot of this today, what we're doing right now. Okay, listen, this is beautiful what I'm going to tell you. Their meat's too far apart.
Okay.
Tuba, I mean, brass people, they let their aperture open up.
Right.
So if that little guy has, and then you don't play fortissimo,
Right.
but I mean, yeah, he's trying to buzz like this probably. And that's a great way in the beginning. It's not a great way, but they think it's a great way to play louder. Like in high school band, the first thing a brass player does to play louder is opens their aperture. And that's not how we do it. And so that little tuba guy is maybe not shaped right, the hole's too open, but if he's going like, I promise you right now, if I took that buzz and put a tuba mouthpiece on it, it'll play. Another thing I'll tell you, an F buzz on a trumpet is the same F buzz on the tuba. The
Same
ring's
pitch?
just bigger.
Regardless of the octave?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So if I go, trumpet. The trumpet mouthpiece is the size where that F produces an F. It's still going to produce an F on a tuba, but the mouthpiece is so much bigger. So now that won't happen if you're low register, but otherwise it will. So, and which brings me to the point of when we're talking about embouchure is, are all embouchures the same? And the answer is absolutely yes. Like you give me a trumpet right now, I can play it. You give me a French horn, I can play it. You give me a tuba. Some guys can't. And usually it's because something in their process was wrong. They're not doing this right. Now they've made it work. I mean, I can bowl and knock all the pins down by putting the ball between my legs and throwing it. And I can say, I got a strike. But that one guy comes up with all the right technique and bam, hits it. And he's doing like 10 in a row. Where you just had a lucky roll. So there is a right way and a wrong way to do it. Does this answer it?
Yeah.
Good. So here again, after slurring the exercise, I have students do legato tongue, focus on support, leading the air supply through the exercise, and finish with a bounced articulation. As they progress and become more proficient, I would increase the tempo, then add one additional note to the slur scale pattern, and finally increase this exercise to 16th notes. Make sure you adjust tempos to current abilities to ensure 100% success participation. So at this point, I'm not doing double tongue because when I do that, I'm leaving them in the dust. You know, I'm promoting making mistakes when I double tongue because you got to get past that. So, but in this example, I'm not doing any double tonguing. I'm just trying to get everybody at the same level and move up to the same quality. Emphasize legato, staccato, marcato, and accented styles. Include tempos to develop speed and coordination. Elapsed time, 3 to 5 minutes. So that's a pretty important exercise. Instruction related to maintaining best possible individual and ensemble tone plus intonation should be emphasized. You should develop a vocabulary to use during your rehearsal. Conducting techniques that convey style, concepts should be practiced during all the warm-ups. Now, let's talk about the baton real quick. Your baton in your warm-up, I mean, you can't be doing this and they're playing legato. You know, stick. Come on, lead to one. Come on, hold it out. You're bouncing. You're pulsing. Okay, so what you want to do is dictate with your hands what's happening. Like this is a whole note. Right? You're just keeping it very fluid. So important. What if I did this? Now I'm getting that airflow happening. What if I want an absolutely beautiful faded, lifted vowel release? Now notice the whole note. Well, notice the sustain. I've always had my baton continue to move. I've never done this in my life. You know, unless it's a super advanced group and I'm playing the last darn note. Otherwise, it's this. With a little lift off to kind of tip the release and make sure it doesn't fade and drop flat. So your baton technique in your warm-up gets your semiotics and communication. And they know what your hands do. And so then you can be like this and go, and they're like, oh, Mr. Dunn wants that. So this is in your music now. You know, so you get to all these little spots and they understand your communication. So you got to make sure, in fact, in 6th grade, Mick knows this, we're teaching. We're doing beginners and whatnot, and George, but I hate this soundtrack behind the band. Gati, 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 da, gati, gati, gati. Because, and then the director won't even direct. What are we doing? The semiotics of gestures is your whole communication to how you get a little band of 7th and 8th graders to play something that can give you goosebumps. And so, I hope I didn't offend anybody with that.
Stacey, going back to articulation.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk a little bit more about, maybe a little more detail in terms of what you use for syllables? Do versus.
Sure.
Because I know when you really wanted a smoother legato and brass, I think you even went to
L?
a couple of others.
Yeah. What I would go to is and again, you're gonna change some of this based on how the student reacts in a private lesson. And we're gonna talk about a little bit about that later today too. But you can use for example, Lou, but with another student might need to be La, just because it'll open up and relax his throat. So, but you can go to Lou. You can use tu, ta, da, ti. Point, more smooth, legato. Is that answering it a little bit? What else are you talking about?
I learned this from you. He would actually go down the sections and have them number off 1, 2, 3, and ones were Lou, twos might be La.
Yeah, I do.
And then get a little bit more on the attack. You maybe go to a Da on 3, and you get this mix, which was beautiful because the end result was you had the clarity, but you also have that smooth, connected, flowing.
Yeah, I do use that a lot. I think it helps make your band sound like an orchestra when you get that fine. But what I think's really funny, you saying that to me here right now, right? How detailed is that? I'm not thinking of teaching everybody that skill today. That is a very detailed skill. And when you're in the middle of that, you're taking maybe 8 kids. Now no, I need 16. And then you're listening, and then there it is. That's the way I want that to sound. And then people are wondering how you got that sustained sound with a lift. And so, But very advanced.
So talking about that, is it based on what register? You ask what syllable to use?
No, it's based on the sound you're wanting on that length or value of note. So, for example,
but who does the syllable? What part or anything like that?
You make that determination maybe by their personal skill. Maybe they're not as good at tonguing, and so you use them on a legato. I'll give you a very fast, easy one. La dee 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 oh, la. The whole background is ga 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 ga, and I hate it. So years ago, I took that and I did it here, and I said, 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 one's tongue, two slur. And so all of a sudden I'm playing this piece, and you hear, oh, it's beautiful. And then you heard, boom, boom, beam, boom, 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 with this beautiful chorale in the background. And it just changed the whole tune. And so that is a non-detailed way of you understanding what he and I are talking about. So in the infancy, in your age group, it just might be you want something to go like, boom, boom, boom. That's advanced. How do you get it? On that one, it's very simple. You have one group go, boom, boom, boom. You have the other group go, do, do, do. And when you're done, you're going to get do, do, do.
Was that a Joe Harness trick? I think there was something that was related to forte pianos or something along those lines that you mentioned. I think it was you. Was it
Yeah.
Paul?
I think it's
It was
Paul.
Paul, yeah, it was Paul.
I think it's Paul. I mean, I use that. Oh, I know where I got it. Eddie Galvan. He galvanized my band. Love that man. Yeah, that is a Eddie Galvan trick. I remember it. I was at Oliveda, and he came in and he said, stared up. You know what? You guys bounce this. Do, 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 and you guys play it long. Do, and I got do, 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 do. It was incredible. All right. Elapsed time, 3 to 5 minutes. Is that where I'm at, guys? Let me see here. Dynamic range. I think I'm on 16. Am I not?
Yes.
Okay. Dynamic range, breath control, development plus intonation, awareness, knowledge, and application. Unison, octave, long tones. Up 5 notes and down. Concentrate and focus on one daily exercise. Do not do too much material. Demand perfection. Push listening skills. Line up starting articulations. Work tone production. Blend intonation. Support to the end of each exercise. 8 count crescendo again. I'm reteaching. 8 count decrescendo. 16 count crescendo. And you can do 16 down. Intervals of thirds, fourths, fifths should be added in place of unison material. When the band is able to produce above average intonation on the unison. So now I want them to start recognizing intervals, and I call them what they are. You know, perfect fourth. Okay, I'd like to hear a fifth. Let me listen to the third. I'll talk about the scale. If I start in the alphabet on the letter C, what's the third letter from C? E. Okay, third letter from C is E. That's why we call it the third. And then what's the third? What's the fifth letter from C? So that's the fifth. And you would be shocked in the country if you clinic a band and you tell them that, and they're like, "Oh, golly, that's incredible." So you mean if I'm playing the B flat concert scale, D is the third? Yeah. And then instantly in a day, you can say now lower the third a little bit. Good. All right, this is in the key of F. What's the fifth in the key of F? What is it? C. Okay, so what I'm saying is you're asking the kids these questions. You want to communicate a lot, because I was good at this. And when you looked at my paper, there'd be a little man with a bolt screw going through his head. So you want to engage with the students all the time and ask them these things, and so and quiz them on their solfege and say, in the key of C, what's the root third fifth, and what's the seventh, and is this major or minor? And you just start quizzing them on learning how to hear things. Elapsed time 3 to 5 minutes. Okay, I like this. Instruction related to face, air support, oral, cavity action necessary to maintain quality pitch during the segment of rehearsal. Emphasize and transferring skill to all playing. Again, am I reteaching some of it? Yes. Did I add a new one? Did I? Yes. What was it? Cavity action. oral cavity action. So I'm reteaching and then adding another skill that day. 17, developing and building reading skills. Okay? This should be the second part of each rehearsal when the objective is development of a common system of counting that stresses note and counting silence values related to steady ongoing beats. How bad do I hate the word rest? I cannot tell you how bad I hate the word rest. From the very beginning here, I taught it as counting time of silence. And I call it playing the rest. Play. If I say the word rest, I always will say first, play the rest. So I want them to understand that, because isn't style equally created by silence and by notes? Da do da da beat dee da da ba ba da da ba da ba ba ba. Whatever you're doing, the silence creates the little groove. Do ba do ba da bum is, again, silence is absolutely as important as the sound. Using unison and octave material with like markings for all players. This will allow you to teach the same concept to all band members at the same time. Vary keys from day to day when the band is competent in several common keys. So this portion really is talking to like a 7th grade band director. You know, he's still doing unisons. You know, nobody in 7th grade band should be playing like dissonance. That's ridiculous. 7th grade band should play in the key of flat B, flat E, F. Forget flat D. Most beautiful key there is, brass. But I mean, don't play in that key because you're not fixing their ears. It's a key that requires great ears to play in flat D. And they were probably taught flat B to begin with. So find some music in flat B. That way your warm-up is building in more ear skill. They'll get used to flat B.
Stacey,
Yes, sir.
what do you think about in regards to the relative minors? Because a lot of the grade 1 literature is C minor based.
How much of it is based in C minor?
Like there's a lot of charts on the grade 1 PML list for second bands to play, and it seems to be, especially now,
Okay.
becoming a new very popular key.
I would say this. Would I have played in a minor key at Oliveda? Yes. But I'm going to tell you that honestly, it would need to have changed in the middle and gone to minor, relative minor. And then I come back to the major. I'm really fussy in 7th grade about that. So, I mean, I would look for stuff in a major key. I really would. Because it's just the ear training that can occur with that little kid with the stability of the light key he's already comfortable in. You'll be amazed. You know right now, anything you play in a 7th grade band, I mean, these little kids, remember a year ago, they're like in the beginner book, man. Your career's on the line. You got to go to contests. It's April 2nd. And you're in the key of flat B, you're in good shape. Okay. Have students count out loud. Why? Because then you know what's really going on in their head. You can watch their feet. As student band members are all participating with obvious success, gradually progress toward complexity of rhythmic patterns. Motivate through competition within the band, section, classes, ages. Ages would be like, all right, in my band, let me hear the 7th graders. Top band? Okay, good. Let me hear the 8th graders. Create the competition. High school, let me hear 9th grade. Let me hear seniors. Let me hear sophomores. Let me hear juniors. Let me hear this side of the band. Let me hear this side of the band. Let me hear all the guys. Let me hear all the girls. And so you're just creating this little competition. All right, woodwinds. Let me hear the brass. Okay, clarinet, flute, sax and horn, trumpet, trombone, baritone. So you're just trying to create everything like that. I'm getting them to listen to the other section. I can't tell you how much is reteach. You know, you're spending a high school 4 years of doing nothing but reteaching the whole time. When you hand out UIL sight reading representative materials in preparation for more complex reading, the basic fundamentals taught first will assure success. So, could I go to UIL and have only taught sight reading on a unison? Yes. I would probably, I could hand out a UIL multi-piece, multi-parts a week before. And they're going to be like powerhouse, blow, support, get it. So, but you can move on to that when you know you've got them where they're really listening, hearing, and doing a really good job. And you don't need, like a whole book. I still like 101 original exercises. It's a good book. Elapsed time, 5 to 7 minutes. Unless you're doing the end of class preparation for UIL, and then you're reading maybe an old UIL piece. All right, program preparation. 18. We're almost done. Might have to stop though. 3 minutes. Lunch is at noon, right? Whenever I say. You guys know what that? Oh yeah, you need to say that. Program preparation. This is the third main part of a rehearsal and should require 50% of the total available time. A productive week must be planned in detail, flexed only to accommodate the band's mastery or lack thereof, and unexpected schedule modifications. Number A, never go into your rehearsal and wing it. B, always have an outline, a clear objective for your rehearsal. If you do not know how to fix a problem, go on to the next objective in your outline and work on a solution during your planning time with your boss or peers, and don't waste the students' rehearsal time. Never learn your score as the students are learning it. I'm going to tell you something. I would go as the bands got better, the scores get really difficult, and you've got to really learn how to work it and what you're going to do. And you're literally, you're practicing. You're practicing, you're conducting, just like you're practicing your instrument to convey what you need to there. And if you're doing a multimeter, you're making sure you're catching that change, where all of a sudden it's a 3/8, 5/8, 4/4, whatever's happening. You should know your score front and back and have various recording resources so that you have that you've selected. So I like to pick my favorite recording of it and then build from there. So I did a piece, Del Gioio, Variants on a Medieval Tune. And I love the Dallas Wind Symphony playing it. And so I did that, and then I did what I wanted. Your music selection should be based on score study, knowledge, and capabilities, as well as potential of your band. Avoid this. Stop starting at the beginning. Or, Mr. Dunn, if you're going to want to work at letter C, you got to start at letter A. If I want to start on count 4, I want to start on count 4. I don't want to come into your band and have to go back to letter B to get what I want to hear at letter C. So you want to teach them how to start anywhere. Tempo must be kept at a setting that ensures 100% participation accuracy before you can move and gradually toward performance tempos. I'm going to move on.
Can I add one thing, sir?
Yeah.
You were mentioning about like starting in the favorite spot or whatever.
Yeah.
Real important with all region also to not get stuck at always at the beginning with the kids and get the kid to practice. Start somewhere else. Start in the middle.
Start at the very
last,
end.
Work the last line. You know.
Start at the whole end of the whole piece. It feels real good to them once they got the end done. Then go back to the beginning or keep working your way back. If weekly sectionals are part of your teaching plan, make sure all teachers are giving clear goals and they should correlate to each other so progress is made during the band rehearsals. Okay, there are various ways to combine part techniques. You may use similar passages, rhythms, melodic lines, non-melodic lines, unison lines, voices, all woodwinds, all brass. Like if you read K, you got a whole roadmap to your whole year of how to analyze your score, truly. Like if you went back and you just looked at every unison, boom, 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 boom. Okay, group, and then call it right on your score, bass clarinet, bari sax, euphonium, and circle it. There's your unison part, tune it. So you fix this one, you fix this one, you fix this one, you fix this one. Let's all play it together now. All right. Items to be stressed before each playthrough could include any of the following: balance, blend, intonation, phrasing, starts and releases, dynamic style, or shaping of lines. Make sure you get them very focused before you start the passage. Intensity must be required from every student. Make sure you have analyzed the chord structure of the harmonic passages, and when possible, start with the root, add the fifth, add the third, and then after you've played the open fifth, it's easy to add a third and tune it. I don't want to talk about it more than that right now. This will take a great deal of time to learn. It is never-ending pursuit. 19. I want to finish this before we go. If you've ever said, man, I pushed my band too hard, man, they peaked. After many years of teaching and seeing successful programs from all over Texas, that sentence is translated as, man, I run out of ideas and I've peaked. Okay, it's not the students that peaked. Yes, they are bored because you run out of ideas and they know it. They know you run out of ideas. They're sitting there thinking like, man, he always keeps changing his tempo every time. Nobody can follow him. It's not even even. As each problem is solved, you can add one more ingredient needed to accomplish a finished production at the highest level you can attain. Your degree of planning, pacing, and ability will be obvious at that time.
Stacey,
Yes, sir.
I just want to add one thing.
Yeah.
This is something I observed and learned from Art. I had some manuscripts that he had given me to study and have the band play for him. And I ended up staying with him. And I remember in a lot of scores, he already had marked in the alternate fingerings, not only the woodwinds, but brass. And sometimes when he wasn't sure, he put a question mark like, I'm going to try it, and then decide.
Right.
But he had been so thorough enough to go through and study it to know this is what I'm going to teach him.
That's
before I
fantastic.
actually get started. So
Amazing.
His score study was a lot more thorough than I think we realized.
Yeah. I didn't know he did that.
Yeah, and it caused me to now, want to implement that kind of study.
Precise.
Yeah, before you even start.
Yes.
Just something.
Very cool. All right.